I found my light. With Jesus by my side, I conquer every fight. Walking in faith, I won't be afraid. His love surrounds me, my fears will fade. Hope is my anchor, love is my guide. With Jesus I'll overcome, I'll never hide. A warrior of strength, in His name I rise. In a world of chaos, His love never dies.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, owner of GodlyGranny.com, and podcast host, sharing the truth with you. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, everybody. So glad that you're with us today. All right. So Lieutenant Mark Taylor is with us today and very excited to have him here with us. And we've got plenty to cover, as you know. But first, I want to give an update. So Thursday, we did a show and I had shared about viewer Natalie. Viewer Natalie is somebody that I met through the show when we went to North Carolina. Producer Ron and I went to North Carolina. She reached out to me immediately when we announced that we were going to be going to North Carolina and helping Hurricane Helene survivors. And she was like, please, 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 can I go with you? You and producer Ron, I would love to go with you. And so I wasn't really sure about it at first because I didn't know her that well, but she had been a hairdresser for 20 years. She found out about the shedding during the slowing of the spread. And so she quit her 20-year career of doing hair because, of the shedding and everything that she was learning about that, of course. And so I went to go see her on Friday, as many of you know. So I got up at 4:15 in the morning, was there at about 3 o'clock. And got to see her. She was cutting jokes, a little bit of a joke. I came in with gifts, and she said that apparently Natalie is known in her family as being a big gift giver. And she said something about Michelle showing up with gifts. I don't believe it, and rolled her eyes. And so I showed up with all her kinds of gifts, everything that, somebody would need while they're in the hospital. And so a big fuzzy Ugg blanket and some great, I forget what they're called, but that, sweet dreams or whatever socks. And it turned out that was a great thing to bring her because she was wearing the hospital socks. And Bob, her husband, had mentioned to me, he said the day before, my God, she has lost so much weight. And so she is so skinny. And so thank goodness he had mentioned that to me, because when I came in the hospital room, I did not recognize her at all in any way, shape, or form. I had never seen anybody that looked the way that Natalie looked. She was like a skeleton with just skin. She'd been going through radiation. She had a rare cancer that she'd been diagnosed with. Natalie had been in pain since last year. I knew in September she was in pain. And so viewer Natalie was somebody that was always here live, and she was part of the Michelle family. She was very loyal. She saw through a lot of the lies and things that others, had said and just causing trouble and whatever through just part of just doing the show, what happens. So anyways, but she saw through it all, and she stuck with me and was like, no, I'm not buying this. And she would tell me why and what she saw and how she knew I was telling the truth. And she just was a very bit larger than life person. She was energetic. And I got to see her. She knew I was there, like Bob said, because I said, will she know that I'm there? And he said, yes, she'll know. And so when I got there, he said that while I was there, Bob said that from Thursday to Friday, she had declined huge. He actually put his hands up like this and said, like, from here to here. And so, but she was on a pain drip at that point that they'd put her on that morning. The hospice doctor came in while I was there and said that, asked her questions. She was, can you wiggle your toe here, your foot, toes on this foot and this and that. And she was able to do all that. She was responsive. Like I said, she, said a few jokes and, but it was hard to understand her. She was very weak, but I could tell that was her voice. She didn't look like her, but it was her. And anyways, and she broke down crying a few times. We both did. She said, that the doctors say that I have this, but it's not my diagnosis. And I don't accept this. And she was a preacher's daughter. She knew the word of God. And so you can only imagine the conversations that Natalie and I would have. She was just so, iron sharpen iron kind of thing. I always loved to talk with her about the Lord. We both loved God. And so, and so we had that in common, and we loved to talk about the truth and about, just whatever. And she was passionate about helping people. And she gave out free haircuts in North Carolina while producer Ron and I are out loving on people and giving them, food, people that had just recently lost everything. And so we're praying, and just really a lot of people just needed hugs. And so they needed so much more, but they would come back and ask for hugs. And so they just needed a hug. They just needed somebody to care. And so, I heard from Bob yesterday, and I'd reached out to him yesterday morning, and yesterday at about 1:00, he texted me and said that Natalie is now with the Lord, and she's out of pain. So I know many of you know that because I posted about it on social media, because I knew that many would be wanting to know. And I want to show a picture of Natalie. And you can tell she just always had a smile. She loved Godly Granny. She wanted to talk about Godly Granny all the time. Bob actually brought it up the other day, and while I was there, and said, boy, does she love Godly Granny. And so it was funny. I laughed, but she's, I told her, I said, if you get there before me, I expect you to be there when I get there for my party. And she said, girl, you know it. And so she was precious. And for those that knew her, I know that they were blessed. And so she just an amazing woman, amazing person with a big, big heart. And I wanted you all to know the update, so that way, but just thank God I was there Friday, because by Saturday, she was non-responsive. And I think I had shared on Thursday, but for about 10 days, the Holy Spirit had been showing me, just dropping in, really just in my mind, like dropping to go see her. Like I would just, her name, and go see her. And I didn't really understand why. I thought, oh, she's going to beat this. It's going to be fine. And so when I got the text message from Bob that she'd been rushed to the emergency room on Tuesday morning, and it wasn't looking good, I knew then. So just wanted to share all of that and let you know that she knew I was there, and we had a great, just sweet last time, the time together to be able to just be together. And she kept saying, you don't know how much I love you. And I said, no, I do know. I know, because I feel the same way about you. And it was just very sweet. And I wanted you all to know that she passed being surrounded by those that loved her, and she was loved big time. And we will miss her here at the Michelle Moore Show. So wanted you to know that. I received a viewer comment, I guess it was from Thursday's show. Let's show that. It was so sweet. It says, from Sandy Mike, God bless you, Michelle and Natalie and her family. I felt so bad for you. And of course, Natalie and family, as you were talking about her, you both were blessed to have known each other. God knew that she would need you. Have a safe trip. I'll say prayers for you both. I know many of you were praying for me and said, have a safe trip. I'll say prayers for you both. You really are an inspiration to me. I've been telling people about you and Cuddly Granny. I love my little Jesus doll in my last package. Thank you so much for enclosing it. I've wanted one for a while. Prayers and blessings to all. That's the second one today. I didn't remember that being in there, but it's the second thank you today, just about the little Jesuses. And so, but anyways, thank you, Sandy, Mike. I know many of you reached out and said that you were praying for safe travels, and it was a long day. I got up at 4:15 and I was going to stop at a hotel, and I just decided to go on home. And I got home at 3:00. And I just think that was God's grace that I was wide awake. I was fine. And so I have only one other time stayed up about 24 hours. And so, but I slept till 10 in the morning, and that tells you how tired I was, because I never sleep that late. So I wanted everybody to know the update about viewer Natalie, and we loved her. We love her. And I can't wait to see her the day that I get in heaven for my celebration. All right. So with all of that said, Lieutenant Mark Taylor is with us today. And we're going to go on ahead and bring him and get started. We got a lot to cover. And so, hi, Lieutenant Mark Taylor. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so big news today, this morning. Let's see. So the Supreme Court has had a big ruling. I think this is a huge win for religious liberty, by the way. So parents are allowed to opt their children out of being indoctrinated with an LGBTQ agenda and program within the schools. Praise God for that.
Finally.
Right.
So, yeah. So, I mean, again, we've been talking about LGBTQ, how it's being pushed by the White House a little bit, by Melania, it's all of these different things. So this is actually a win for the country right here. Finally, the Supreme Court's actually doing something for the righteous side here for once.
Yeah. Okay. So, so much going on. So there's a video about that. Producer Ron, do you have that where it was about the Supreme Court? I don't think I sent it. Maybe I did, and it might not have got grabbed. I don't think he's got it. So we'll move on. So China is nervous over the new Russia stance. Let's take a listen to this news story and see what you think on the other side.
Being nicer to Russia is because, and China's freaking out about this, Russia is now willing to start trading on the U.S. dollar again and not in the BRICS currency to join the global market. This would absolutely spell the end of China as we know it. Russia is the last piece of the puzzle to bring China to its knees. And we don't actually have a problem with, well, we shouldn't have a problem with Russian values. They're people. Putin's a Cold War relic. But beyond the neocons and what they want you to believe because they want to keep sending unaccountable money to Ukraine, we should actually have a relationship with Russia. Very similar values amongst the people. And Trump is willing to gamble 30 cents more at a gallon at the pump for like a few weeks to do that. Again, trust the guy. Oil is still remarkably cheaper right now than it was under Joe Biden. But here's the other side that's not entirely public yet. What's China doing right now? They already know they're not in a position to do anything militarily against us. Opponents of the Iran strike are whining that we're depleting our munition reserves. Well, not nearly as much as China's depleted theirs. This attack showed China two things. One, our military is way stronger than they thought. And two, China had put a lot of their air defenses, a lot of their resources and weaponry in Venezuela and Iran, and we took it out in a day. The smokescreen of the military might of China was decimated in the first 20 hours.
Okay, what do you think, Mark?
So again, we go back to what we were talking about before, where there's more to this story in Venezuela and Iran than meets the eye. You're dealing with Russia, you're dealing with China, and China, quite frankly, needs to be put in their place. They are trying to be the dominant superpower on the earth, and that's what this whole, I believe, AI race is about too, as well as this technology race, is to keep China in their place. So the fact that we took their stuff out in 20 hours, I mean, that's a good sign to me, quite frankly. But China has been the enemy all along. I mean, even I have a prophetic word in here. We're talking about China and Russia basically being put in their place economic-wise. So I know Trump is doing that. This is a good thing, actually. So we're talking about a good thing that Trump's doing right now. So, I know there's a lot of opposition to this war. I know there's a lot of opposition to what he did in Venezuela and Iran. But there's more to it than meets the eye. There's always going to be more to it. So I've been kind of a supporter for both. However, I do support getting stuff done here with America first on American soil while we're in the process of all of that.
Yeah. Well, and like I like that you made the point. There's usually more to it than what we know.
Right.
Even with Iran, we're hearing that there's the possibility that there could be stuff going on with human trafficking, and that they're really trying to, save and kind of dig out all that. Iran really hadn't been dealt with at all. We haven't heard anything about Iran really since the pallets of cash got sent, right? And so at least while Donald Trump's been president, we haven't heard anything about that. So it does make me suspicious that maybe that could be going on, where they are doing something with tunnels and getting that straightened out. Who knows? But I thought that was interesting, that when I got to thinking about Iran and hearing that, it's like that could make some sense for sure. So, okay, so there's a new report. So I think there's plenty of studies and different things about the shot. Okay. that's linked to cancer. We've been talking about this. You've been saying for what, a year now or more about the new pandemic is what? It's cancer.
Yep.
And so this is interesting. This Nicholas Holcher has a report here. Let's listen to what he has to say about the COVID jab
when you
linked to cancer.
Inject into the human body a synthetic, modified messenger RNA that's been modified to last very long in the body, and you tell your vital organs to produce a non-human, highly pathogenic protein, that's not going to be, improving cancer outcomes. A recent study found that it basically cuts survival time, pancreatic cancer survival time, in half. The people who received the mRNA shots lived half as long. And so, it's cutting lifespans, it's accelerating the cancers, and honestly, they have no grounds to try and dispute this now. The evidence is clear.
Okay, so I think we have some images for this one, right? Or no,
I think
that's
it's the next. That's for a different one.
Okay, well, he talks about it cutting lifespan and accelerating cancers, and I guess that's really the turbo cancer, right?
Correct. So, look, the whole thing of this is, again, we talk about the vaccines. We talk about, we're going to go into some 5G stuff, 6G stuff here in a second. But it's the fact that cancer is the new pandemic. Look, I got another family member that just has gotten cancer because, unfortunately, they took the jab. So, some of my family didn't take it. I'm thinking everybody's in the same boat. Some family members took it, some didn't. So you're looking at this, but the problem is that the shedding is, there's not a man, woman, or child on this planet that's not safe from this vaccine right now because of the shedding, the spike proteins, this, that, and the other. There's a reason why they're accelerating the 6G rollout. So you got to ask yourself, why is that? Well, we're going to find out here in a few seconds.
The other thing I want to bring up too is that especially early on, around the time that the jab was going on and all that, did you hear about a number of people that they had gotten a shot and they might have had, like, let's say, breast cancer that was in remission for the last 3 years, and all of a sudden breast cancer was back? I heard of numerous stories. So he's talking about cutting the lifespan and accelerating cancers, but it was also cancer that had been in remission was coming back. And being active in people's bodies as well. And nobody really talks about that, but that was absolutely part of it as well.
It's almost like whatever pre-existing condition you may have, whether you knew it or you didn't know that you had that, whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, whether it's even psychological, it takes whatever that pre-existing condition is and multiplies it, enhances it by 100.
Yes. Yeah. I would be curious to know what all was in it that would do that. I guess it's just...
But I mean, again, the test bed was our animals. They're doing it to our animals now. So the same mRNA vaccines that are going into people are now going into our animals and have been for almost a year now. So now you can't even let a dog lick you.
No. Well, and keep your dog away from the veterinarian. Used to be a place where you thought
dogs away from other dogs now. You can't even let them play with other dogs that have been vaccinated. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, good point. That's a great point. I'm afraid, to even get a dog because so many people that breed, they always had those initial shots. I'm going to have to find somebody that breeds a dog before the dogs are even pregnant and the babies are born.
That's right.
I've thought about that before. I'll never own another puppy that, it was always a big deal that you would say, oh, they have their shots. Yeah, that's a pass.
Not anymore. That's a pass. Not anymore.
Used to be you used to think it was a good thing. And so, but that's happened with taking our children to the vet, to the pediatrician.
Well, I think this Nicholas Holzer just released a study that the mom who had the vaccine has now given birth to a child. It's now affecting the child, but the child hasn't had the vaccine.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. Well, think about it. If you're going to have pregnant women having miscarriages, which was happening from the very get-go, then how is it that if you do have the child, that just makes sense to me. Yep. Okay, well, while we're on with the whole Nicholas Holcher, let's go ahead and stay on that. We got another video that you want to play that's got is that the one about the illegal immigrants? No, it's about winning the 6G race. Let's take a look at this and see what he says.
We have to remember they're rolling out 6G now. Trump just signed an order to accelerate the deployment of 6G. This is going to interface with biological implants, it says in the order. So these are brain chips that will interact with 6G and artificial intelligence. There was a recent systematic review paper that came out looking at the biological effects of 5G wavelengths, 5G frequencies. It changes the function of the cell, it changes the gene expression of the cell, so the cells start to act differently. It can cause DNA damage in these animals. It can cause tumor growth in these experiments. It causes neurological changes, biochemical changes. So the proteins being produced in these animals are changing when they're exposed to this. And, again, we can just keep going down the list.
So he's the one that reported about the mRNA shots that the veterinarians were using for the vet or for the fur babies,
Right.
and so he's how we found out about that in the early time. So now and we've got a couple of images too. Let's take a look at this. So it says Trump recently signed an order to accelerate 6G deployment, despite hundreds of studies linking 5G to DNA damage, oxidative stress, neurological injury, and cancer. Documented adverse biological effects of 5G span. So this is on 5G. So it's the biochemical changes, the cell membrane disruption, cell proliferation. And so they're going through all the things that 5G did on here. Okay.
Correct. Before you change that, I want to point something out here. He says Trump recently signed an order to accelerate 6G deployment. Here's the key phrase: despite hundreds of studies linking 5G to DNA damage, oxidative stress, neurological injury, and cancer. Despite hundreds of studies, Trump still signs it. That's what's infuriating.
Okay, so if you look at this and you read this and you say that on its face, then we either trust Trump or we don't.
Right.
I think we're at a point where we either trust him or we don't. And the President Trump that I saw inaugurated, who stood and said, "I will never ever let you down," I don't believe would have done this. And so the President Trump we elected the first time, I don't believe would have done that. And so one of the things that, we were talking about before the show, even in show prep, was, does that sound like something President Trump would do? The man that we elected back and we haven't seen. And so that's the frustrating thing. I don't believe that the President Trump that we elected would have done this. The one that looked at Fauci and, we've seen so many different pictures with the, like, I know what you're doing. And so I think at the end of the day, we have to say, okay, what is really going on here? Is this really, he supposedly signed it. Did he really sign it? I don't know. I find this hard to believe.
All I know is this. I have heard him come out of his mouth in a press conference and say verbally that he helped accelerate 5G. He was bragging once again, just like he did with the vaccines. So if he's bragging about 5G, and he said 6G is coming, and he says now we have 6G. He didn't say he had signed anything at that point. So I'm assuming Nicholas has probably got some kind of proof that he has in fact signed something under that. But the point is, look at 5G and what it's done to us. That's the point. And he admitted out of his own mouth that he had helped accelerate it.
Yes. Okay. So you're saying he admitted it out of his own mouth.
Yes.
And I think this goes back to just like what I was saying. I went to Mar-a-Lago and I met 3 different Trumps. So where's the one? So who exactly, what did this guy look like? I think this has been the biggest lesson that I have learned. And of course, this was the whole turning point for me when I did, is General Michael Flynn really who you think he is? Because the whole point was I had an image that showed 4 different Flynns. And so I think at the end of the day, we all have to come to grips with as everybody individually has to decide, do you believe in cloning? Because I'm telling you right now, I met 3 different Trumps. And I believe there's a whole lot more than just 3. But where's the one we elected? Because until we see him say he's the father of the vaccine, until we hear him say, I escalated this, I did that, I'm just having a hard time believing this. I started thinking the other day, how is it that everybody in the White House is bad? And so our President Trump, I don't know. I think there's something up with that. Like, we can't deny something's going on. Something big is going on.
But it's still the office of the president. And so if somebody pushed 5G, So if he's saying that he did it, whether it's Trump number 1 or number 2, I don't know. The fact is that it's still here. It's still causing damage to people. It's still causing cancer. We're still dealing with it. So at some point, the American people are going to have to rise up and say enough is enough. We don't want this mess going on, or there needs to be protection mechanisms put in place to protect Americans from this while we still continue to use the technology. So which one is it? I don't know. But it's still killing American people, and he's still coming from the office of the president. So that's my point. I don't, it doesn't matter. It's still a deception. It's still something that is not supposed to be doing harmful stuff to the American people like this.
Well, what is 6G though? So he's recently signed an order to accelerate 6G deployment, despite hundreds of studies linking 5G. It's kind of like, it makes me wonder. Now, look, I had a client that, he was watching Fox News every night, Sean Hannity, and they're telling him to take the shot, and he took the shot, even though I begged him not to. And so, many people say, well, what President Trump meant hydroxychloroquine and all the other things that were the good things. But you had to know that, it's like we were talking about earlier in show prep that, you and I both know that we can go on X and it's a completely different world than if we were to go to a birthday party an hour later.
Right.
People either know or they don't. And so that's what's so scary. And so, but this is saying that it's the studies linking 5G to DNA damage.
Right.
Is 6G going to fix that, or is it going to make it worse? Like, we don't know yet.
We don't know yet, but one can only assume. We got another slide with this too, I think. Don't, producer Ron? Should be a second one.
Yeah, there was a second one.
Yeah, there's a second one. So again, you ask anybody, I mean, everybody's look at this. I mean, so memory effects. Everybody's got brain fog. Everybody's got dizzy. They're this, that, and the other. Look, we haven't even gotten into the weather radars. My sister was down where they just put a new weather radar down there where she was at. Everybody was complaining about anxiety, chest pains, dizziness, brain fog, no energy, and those radars down there are no joke, and are using these hurricanes to put these things up. And so all of this technology may be great. You pick up your phone, you can do this, you can do that, but there's a massive cost to all of this. So at some point, they're going to have to come up with some type of protection to protect the American people, because the effect, look, you can't sit here and deny that the cancer is not taking place.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter whether it's Trump 1 or Trump 10. It doesn't really matter, because the cancer, but the cancer is still there.
Yeah, it does. Oh, sure, it is. But that doesn't mean that it was the good Trump that we, that it is President Trump that signed it and that did that and said those things. And so that's what I'm going to pull that video, and we're going to look and see when the president that was bragging about signing and being the father of the shot and all that stuff.
Right.
I'm going to pull that video and we're going to look at it. Look, at the end of the day, and I know you got concerns about acknowledging that there is more than one Trump. I can tell you right now, I'd be shocked if we have somebody watching that doesn't already know that. Just like with the whole thing with Flynn. So, and I don't care if people think I'm crazy or not. I could care less. I know what I personally experienced. First of all, we're in the middle of this. And do you really believe, I just want everybody, not you, Mark Taylor, but I want everybody to listen when I say I was offered to play golf with President Trump the week before I went to Mar-a-Lago. I laughed and said, I don't even play putt-putt. So no, I'll be going to the ladies' luncheon. Okay. So that man I'm the closest in the room. When he gets done playing golf, he comes in. We had assigned seating. I was at the closest table to the door, and my chair was the closest chair to the door. Crazy. I know it, but that's where it was. And so when he came in, I was right there. I saw him, and I'm like, he's a little overweight and, carries himself different. Okay. That night, completely different Trump telling stories about raising Cain. All right. The guy we're used to seeing telling the stories. The next day, he says, my eyes aren't quite what they used to be, because he says, is that Radcliffe on the stage? And we're in the ballroom at Mar-a-Lago, huge place. And so Radcliffe was on the stage with a couple of other people. He's in the back, and he says, is that Radcliffe on the stage? My eyes aren't what they used to be. And I said, that ain't Trump. Trump would never say that. Not the President Trump, period. And so I'm telling everybody, there's at least 3 that I met in a 24-hour period. I didn't see him on TV. I met him in person. I'm telling you now, we're in a war and they're asking me if I want to play golf with Trump. I mean, that right there tells you something's up. So, so he's signing these. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. So golfer Trump is always playing golf at Mar-a-Lago. Always. We see pictures daily on X. Okay. But yet he's in the Oval Office at the same time on the same day. Like anybody could see that there's more than one Trump. All right. So until I see the Trump that we elected say that he's the father of the vaccine, and I mean, you can see it in his demeanor and in the way he is, I don't know which Trump is good and which one's bad and golfer Trump and all this, but I'm telling you now, until I see that Trump do that, then I'm going to still have hope that our best days are ahead of us, if that makes sense. And I'm just not going to believe that he's signing this stuff and doing this to us. I'm just not going to believe it. Now, that's me. And so everybody gets to choose whatever they want to believe and what they think. And I'm not called to create a bunch of baby Michelles. But I just want everybody to know this is where I'm at. And so because I just don't see it. And look, if he is signing 6G, Mark, and 6G is bad, well, I mean, we it's over. It's over.
Well, look, I believe that there are good things ahead. I believe he's doing some good things, whoever it is. But my stance is, I don't care if it's number 1 or number 10. It's still being implemented. It's still destroying the American people, whether it's the vaccine, whether it's 5G, whether it's the glyphosate, whatever it may be. It's still hurting the American people. So something or someone or whichever number it is has to put a stop to it.
Well, what is 6G and how do you know that that's even happening? That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, just because we're being told that doesn't mean that it's even happening. And so that's the whole other thing about it. How do you know that these illegals that are committing all these crimes aren't the illegals that were let in under Obama? You see what I'm saying? Right. So we don't know that they're new. We weren't down at the border seeing people coming in by the droves. And right. So, we don't know. And that's the point. It's just like people that go, well, he did a Freemason ceremony. Okay, yeah, it was about the grainiest video I've ever seen. And in today's technology, you can't get a better video. And so I just don't believe it. I just don't. I do not believe that he's a Freemason or whatever else anybody wants to claim. I don't see any sign of that. And I see fruit that tells me differently. And that's what I'm saying here as well. That's just me. Okay. And is somebody signing it? We're being told somebody's signing it. Does any of it matter? If there's funny business with the elections and stuff, or there's so many things we don't know. And so how do we know 6G isn't good for us to get us out of the 5G that is bad for us? See what I'm saying? There's so many things that we don't know. And so right. I'm looking at that going, oh, well, we don't even know. Maybe 6G, I don't know if 6G is good or not. And so that's another thing we got to think about. And so, Lisa Ann says, either way, somebody's signing something that's hurting us. And I pray God helps to shut it down. And that's what I'm saying. How do you know that 6G is bad? You're assuming that.
We're not just talking about 6G. We're talking about the vaccines. We're talking about 5G. Mm-hmm. We're talking about 6G. We're talking about the glyphosate. We're talking about all these different things that he was supposed to put a stop to that he hasn't done. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. So the next one is Louisiana man shot 7 kids and one of their cousins, 8 children. I don't understand. Like, did he shoot himself also?
He was killed by the police, killed by law enforcement. So we're showing this to show, we're going to get to a point here. So let's just keep rolling through these. We've got some videos to show and this, that, and the other. So this just happened the other day.
All right, let's look at the Home Depot brawl. So this is horrible. The tiny children, they have a cousin that was apparently there. So he shot 8 children. Absolutely horrific. And then this Home Depot brawl, what in the world? Like, people need their mamas to show up and spank them. Let's look at this one with Home Depot. Mm. Okay, that's brutal.
Yep. That's the way it works on the
Okay.
street.
Yeah. All right. The next one we've got about the Iowa students. So let's take a look at this one.
That boy got shot.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot of crazy.
Yeah, that's the
And
street.
where? And this is the
That's the
streets.
street.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's look at.
So then we have another one
and
here.
here we go.
5 shots. Yep.
So
Yep,
this
the-
one's. Is this the same one? Because these are. It says
Possibly.
University of Iowa students.
It probably was. Yep. Because he said he was shot at the end
Okay.
right there. So
But there were
So you had
5
5
shot
shots.
in total.
Yep. Yeah.
5 shot in total. This is crazy.
Yep.
Okay, let's look at Chicago. Chicago. Oof. Mm-mm.
Oh man, free holiday, man, free fun, free dude, man. I know. What you saying? You feel me?
What are you saying?
Act right now. Act right. Act like folk now. Act like folk. Act like folk now. Act like folk now.
We got one at Tell him try. Go with your move. Go with your move. Go with your move. And one on the other end. Go with your move, please. Go with your move. Go with your move.
I think some of those guys have bigger guns than the police.
yeah. Well, this is the streets right now. Streets are not safe. Even though whichever Trump is saying that is safe, it's not, because we're showing it right here. These are the facts. When
Yeah.
you go out on the street, it is not safe. You may say, because again, they were saying that Iowa one was really in the big city. It was actually out in the suburbs. So that's the problem. What have we been saying on here? Once they start the illegal roundup, they're going to move out of the big cities and go to the suburbs or the rural areas. They're going to scatter. And this is what I think you're seeing happening. So whoever's feeding Trump this information that the cities are safer or the streets are safer, I don't know where he's getting his numbers from. I don't know who's feeding this garbage, because as you can tell, these are the facts right here.
All right, let's share the story about you. Where were you, Home Depot? And what happened?
Oh, I was in the parking lot of Lowe's the other day. Me and my wife, we were walking through the parking lot, and this guy had an SUV, like 3 or 4 kids in it, and he just opens the door and just starts taking a whiz right there in the parking lot, right there in front of everybody. Just didn't care, didn't give a rip. You know, which,
Wow.
look, I've seen that on the street 1,000 times. Doesn't bother me. You know, especially in these ghettos like this. You know, people are drunk, drugged up, this, that, and the other. It happens all the time. You know, it's not a big deal. But in a place in a Home Depot parking lot or in a Lowe's parking lot, and you're with your wife, it's like, come on, seriously, really? And you're teaching your kids that right there in public. You couldn't go somewhere in the middle of nowhere off the side of the road and do it. Or maybe here's a novel idea: doesn't Lowe's have restrooms?
Yes.
Be a
I've been
normal
to them.
human being instead of an animal. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's crazy. Okay, so I was telling you earlier, I want to make sure the viewers know about this. Apparently, I didn't send it to producer Ron, but I saw it yesterday. So a couple is going into a business, and the business is like in a strip mall kind of area. And Mark, there's a man who is Indian who is outside, and he is literally in the front of the business. Like there's columns, and he's just peeing right there on the column.
Yeah.
And it turns out he owns the business. It's a restaurant.
Look, here's the other thing I want to point out. Do you see all this violence? Do you see how you're seeing people like with the urinating in public and this, that, and the other? That's the vaccines. That's the 5G. That's affecting people and their common sense. Every time I go out here now, I'm almost witnessing accidents in front of me. And it's 2 and 3 every time I go out almost. And I'm getting more and more people saying the same thing to me. Mark, I'm seeing the same thing. People are nuts out here. They're crazy. That's the frequencies. That's what's doing it.
Yeah, it's dangerous. You know, I was just in the car for, I don't know, almost, I guess about 20 hours total on Friday. And Mark, people are very aggressive drivers, very reckless drivers.
It's the vaccines. It's all of these things together that's causing this agitation, if you will, or this anger, if you will, because everybody's angry. Everybody's agitated. Everyone's on edge. Everybody's just ready to fight, as you're seeing in these videos.
So we've got another one. The House votes 224 to 204 to extend temporary protected status to 350,000 Haitians.
So here we go. So again, the streets are not safe. So now we're starting to grant protected status to illegals that aren't supposed to be here, that we voted to get out of America.
Yeah.
So again, at what point do we start cleaning up American soil? We're cleaning up Iran. We're cleaning up Venezuela. I don't have a problem with that. I want to make that clear. What I have a problem with is putting American soil on hold when you're seeing stuff like this going on the streets that we're showing you. And you got to remember, 99.9% that happens on the street, you don't hear about. I go back to when I was on the fire department and working in the streets. 99.9% you never heard about because it was so prevalent. You're only getting what's hitting the headlines, which is about 0.1% across America right now, guys.
Yeah. And this was the House of Representatives that did this on Thursday. It's
this
crazy.
wasn't true. This was the House that did this. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. It just goes to show us that, you know, look at how many even city councils that they're passing all of these different data centers, and the people in those counties and cities are showing up to these meetings, and they're still passing it. And the people that are showing up are protesting and saying, no, they're against it. They're speaking up, they're speaking out, and then they're still passing it. It doesn't matter what the will of the people is in their area. They're going to do what they want to do. The fix is in, is what's going on.
Again, one could go back and say, well, it's the same thing with Trump. He's not listening to the will of the people because the will of the people voted for his day one promises that he promised. And there's a lot of those day one promises he didn't keep, which is why so many people are angry with him, why they're upset with him. They feel betrayed by him. And this is why I keep telling people, you're going to have to put your anger aside in November, and you're going to have to vote anyway. You got to vote. It's not an excuse not to vote.
Yeah, absolutely have to vote. Okay, so the anchor baby boom. This is interesting. Doesn't surprise me, though. I mean, it's probably every year. New poll data shows nearly 100% of all U.S. births in 2023.
10%.
I'm sorry, I was going to say 100%.
100%.
What?
No, 10%.
Thank you. I was going to say, I read that. I was like, wait a minute.
It was 100%.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. 10% of all the U.S. births in 2023 were to illegal aliens or temporary immigrant mothers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
One in every 10.
But even 10% is bad. This is really bad.
Yes. Yeah.
So again, here we go with the illegal aliens. Here we go with they're not being cleaned out. Who was it? I think the Director of Homeland Security was on with what's her name? I can't remember the lady's name now on Fox News. Was defending the fact that he said we've got over 2 million people out of here, and she actually corrected him and called him out on it, saying, no, you've only gotten about 700,000 out of here. The rest have self-deported. And so Laura Ingraham. And so I thought it was very interesting that she actually caught him and called him out on it, and then he tried to justify it with a bunch of nonsense. So again, we've only gotten 2 million total out of here. 700,000 they've only been able to get out of here. The rest have self-deported. So
And this is Tom Homan.
No, this was the new guy. I can't remember his name now. The new guy, whoever took Kristi Noem's place.
Oh, yes. Okay, gotcha.
So, yep.
All right. It's interesting. Okay, so Benny Hinn had some let's talk about Israel. So the Israel LGBTQ festival. Israel's preparing to host the largest LGBT, I guess there's no Q on here and no plus, festival ever held in the Middle East, set to take place at the Dead Sea in June 2026.
Look, if people truly knew what was going on over there right now, it's bad. as far as LGBTQ stuff. It's really bad.
Mhm.
You know, I think somebody was saying that they have the largest LGBTQ community on the planet over there.
Mhm.
Somebody can fact check me on that one. Look,
Really? In Israel?
pretty much. I mean, it's pretty bad. So again, I fact check me on that. I'm not saying it is true. I think I've heard that multiple times. Could be per capita or whatever it is, however you want to put that. But America's not much better, guys.
Mhm.
America's not much better because you've got, unfortunately, we've got a first lady and we've got Trump kind of supporting this whole thing right here, LGBTQ. So it's again, you can't support this stuff and expect God's blessings to flow. What is it? We got a White House, or calling it a White House Correspondents' Dinner, but it's really not. It's being put on by an LGBTQ, and I haven't heard anything from the White House yet to denounce that. So I'm waiting for them to come out to see if they actually denounce it. It's supposed to be towards the end of this month, I think, that they're supposed to be having something along those lines that some group is putting it on, but they're calling it a White House Correspondents' Dinner. So don't we have another thing to show as far as the crime goes? I thought we had one more on the crime.
There was something on here. Okay, well, we talked about that, producer Ron. 8 children, dead. Yes, range from 18 months to 15 years old, by the way, for those 8 children.
There was another one with a video. That's
here
it
we
right
go.
there.
Okay. So this says illegal immigrants killed 13,000 Americans in 2024. The total number of homicides in the United States in 2024 was 20,162. That's 64% of all murders. Well, that doesn't surprise me that immigrants would be the ones that's doing the killing.
64% of the murders in this country were committed by illegal aliens, guys. It is time to clean these people out and get rid of them. This should infuriate everyone. I mean, the White House, you guys need to be burning their phone lines up. You need to be burning their emails up. All your Congress people, your governors, all these things come down to the leadership of this country as to why are they not cleaning them out. You're taking a risk even being on the road right now because, again, between the vaccines, the frequencies, all these different things that are affecting people's behavior right now, and the illegals on top of all of this, we're in trouble until they clean this mess up. And it's not just the illegals, it's the technology that's affecting the behavior of man right now.
Yeah. Okay, so out of Tennessee, good news, Bill Lee, he's the governor of Tennessee. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a video that goes with this that you wanted to show?
It doesn't have to be. No, we don't have to show that one.
Oh, okay. So Bill Lee, he has signed, usually June is Pride Month, and instead he's saying Governor Lee signs a resolution designating June as Nuclear Family Month. And so we're talking about like a mom and a dad and the children. And so that was good. I was excited.
That's what needs to happen all across the country right there. The governors are going to have to start taking the bull by the horns here and putting their foot down. So,
hey, look, I got to tell you something about, 8 years ago, I had no idea about these parades and pride parades in June. And Nashville ended up having one. And I don't know if it was one of the first ones or if they'd been having it and I just didn't know. But these are a bunch of degenerates. And I mean, it's scary. They're going around with chains and leather chains or leather and chains and stuff and dog collars. It is absolutely nuts. And these women are bringing their daughters with them. I can't even believe it. I cannot believe what's going on.
We live in a lawless society right now. And I have been saying this for a long time. It's going to take a very heavy hand to get this society under control in America. And I thought it was going to be Trump was going to be the one to do it. Unfortunately, hopefully he will still get the job done. I'm praying and hoping he will. But right now, it's not happening.
All right, let's look at, President Trump recently. We've been saying week after week, wondering how it's going to go in May when we have the rededication. So let's listen to what he said about rededicating our America as one nation under God. Let's listen.
To support this exciting renewal this morning, I'm pleased to announce that on May 17th, 2026, that we're inviting Americans from all across the country to come together on our national mall to pray, to give thanks, and we are going to do something that everyone said, like, that's tough. We're going to rededicate America as one nation under God. You know, a lot of people. Yeah, thank you very much. That's what I mean by the Spirit. It's so incredible to see it. I see it so much. I've never seen anything like it in 1 year. I thought it would take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to be where we are. We've done it in, really 10 months. We're at 12, but now it's just getting to a level that we've never reached before as a country. But that.
Okay, so so he was talking about that. He was talking about one nation under God, so that's good, Mark. So that sounds exciting. I've been hearing about all of the prayer time that they're going to be doing and reading scripture, so that's good as well. And we've been wondering about it, so that was good. Okay.
Well, let's see what happens, because again, who's going to be up there? Who again, guys? It doesn't. Well, you got another video to show, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to move on to something else, but
okay.
Okay. So did you want to speak on that?
I didn't know if we were moving. Okay, yeah. So, but the point is this: is Bible says you judge a prophet by his fruit. What is the fruit that is being produced by the president right now spiritually? Well, again, vaccines. We're looking at all these different things to harm Americans. We're looking at the fact that he worshipped a foreign god in the Oval Office, who was talked into it by you-know-who, Kash Patel, and then you've got all these different things that are taking place spiritually by those that are around him right now. Paula White, who's been exposed on a massive scale, he refuses to fire and get rid of. And so, again, you judge a prophet by his fruit. You can sit there all day long and claim to know Christ or claim to know a God or God. You cannot go up there and do the things that he is doing and expect God to honor it. There has to be some type of repentance and renouncing of what he has done. Whether people like it or they don't like it, doesn't matter. It's what God says needs to be done. That's the bottom line.
Okay, let's take a look at what he says about Jesus.
Wants to be Lord of your life. I said there's only one person that can do it all the way. You know who that is? Jesus Christ.
And above all else, we know this. In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
You can do all you want, but you still need help from the boss. You need help from the boss. Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ."
Lord, I thank you that America didn't need a preacher in the Oval Office. It did not need a professional politician in the Oval Office, but it needed a fighter and a champion for freedom. And Lord, that's exactly what we have.
We pray this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, who came and died and rose again.
Okay. All right.
So again, I go back to, it's one thing to proclaim out of your mouth, but your hearts are far from me at times. It's again, I'm not trying to be negative here. What I'm saying is it's proof in the pudding. It's literally, you judge a prophet by his fruit. What is the fruit? The fruit has not been very good spiritually, which is what I've been raising Cain about, is because he's got Paula White around him. He's got those people that you saw in the video around him. Are those going to be the same people praying? Because again, you go back to the history of being exposing Paula White and her history and her multiple affairs or multiple marriages or this, that, and the other. Again, is it going to have an effect? Well, I hope and pray that it has a positive effect. I truly do. But again, you can't have a president who sits there and claims Christ out of one mouth, but worships a foreign god in the other.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
And I go back to what I was saying earlier about the Trump that we know is the real Trump. And so where's that Donald J. Trump? And so I haven't seen him with Paula White in a really long time. And I think when we look at it, look at what's going on right now with Kash Patel. Look what's going on, what happened. Oh, I had a great example. So, we had Kristi Noem, right? You called it from the beginning saying, she's a terrible pick for the position. But what it did it actually brought out the affair that I think a lot of people didn't know anything about, that really came out during the whole slowing of the spread. And now so many people know that her husband is into weird stuff and cross-dressing, and she's stealing money and all this other stuff, or not stealing money, but I guess allotting money to a big plane, and she did all kinds of things. And so now all of that has been exposed, right? And people know who she is. And so I'm just wondering, it's just like with Kash Patel, when you and I were showing it, what was it, a month ago, when he's drinking beer and carrying on. And so now he's got a new lawsuit that was filed, I think today. I just saw a notification about it. Here it is breaking. The FBI director has filed a $250 million defamation suit against The Atlantic after a sweeping report detailing his excessive drinking and unexplained absences. I didn't know about the unexplained absences. I didn't know there were a bunch of those. So his behavior has also grown increasingly erratic as he became worried he might lose his job. His attorneys are linked to Flynn, who we have said repeatedly, in our opinion, from everything we know and information from many people, that's no bueno. And so I think it's interesting that, and we've been saying about his book, and all the stuff he did. So now we know, and our viewers know, but what about many others? Now many others know. So I just find it interesting, and I'm starting to wonder, obviously we know that the real President Trump pushes people and puts them out in the front, in the light. And now more people are learning about what's really going on with these people. They're traitors. So anyway, so I find it interesting.
Versus just kind of coming out with the corruption stuff and just having them arrested for corruption, because we really don't have that kind of time. That's just my opinion. It's just, we don't have time to clean. Look at the mess going on in our streets. Does that look like we really have time for these games? This is those people on the street, by the way, they're not the ones that they can care less what Kash Patel does. They don't care what goes on in politics.
Yeah.
They don't care about that stuff. You're not going to wake those people up, but you're going to have to clean the streets up to make it safe for people like you and me in order to walk them.
What was the first thing that President Trump signed, the real President Trump, when he came into office? What was it about? What was the topic? Was it human trafficking?
I don't know.
I think it was human trafficking. And so I'll go back, but I know he signed numerous things about the human trafficking. And so, look, I have expressed my own frustrations as well about the time frame. I'm sure people that knew about what was going on with the children, I don't know, 20 years ago, thought we didn't have time back then either. But the fact of the matter is, we don't have the whole story. We don't know all of what's going on, just like with Iran. That's what hit me over the weekend about Iran. Well, we haven't heard anything about Iran. So, we hear about all these other countries and what's been going on, like in Italy and wherever they been doing the, having the mini earthquakes that are right around 5, on the Richter scale. And so just makes me wonder, about that. And so we hadn't heard anything about Iran. So are they still cleaning things up, or what is going on? We don't know. And so, but I go back to the real Donald Trump. And so let's see that video, producer Ron, from Donald Trump and his inauguration.
Protection will lead to great prosperity and strength. I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down. America will start winning again, winning like never before.
And we were, and that's the man I'm looking for. And so when you say, well, the president's, Paula Trump is his person praying for him and everything, not praying for this one. And the other thing is, I just think about what you've been talking about with, there's a big awakening to all of the corruption, right? We've been talking about that, all this exposure. And so there's a lot of people, look at what just happened this weekend with Benny Hinn and all his stuff. So I'm just wondering, with her being in the White House, is that an opportunity for people to see who she really is? What do you think?
Who, Paula White?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've had...
Yeah, it's been coming out.
Well, we've had 10 years to find out. How long does it take to find out about somebody?
But that goes back to, we know, but how many people have known?
again, you're only going to wake up so many people. It's like there's a large percentage of the population you're not going to wake up. Those people at Home Depot or in Iowa, you're not going to wake these people up.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen right now.
Yeah.
So again, at some point you're going to have to pull the trigger and make sure that things start happening. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree. So
again, and spiritually, let me say this. Spiritually, with Paula White, let's just say Paula White, she lays hands on, let's just say it is a clone of Trump. Let's just say it's number 3, whatever it is, right? It's still having an effect on the presidency. It doesn't matter if it's a clone. It doesn't matter. She's occupying a throne in the White House. She occupies a throne. Spiritually speaking, she's doing severe damage. Even if it is a clone, she's doing damage to the reputation and character to the real Trump. So it doesn't matter which one it is. That's what my point this whole time. If the false Trump signed 5G, it doesn't matter. It's doing damage to the character and reputation of the real Trump. It's still the office of the president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Aqua Girl 7 says Trump has to stop trafficking and rid the cartels before he can deport the masses, because cartels rule it all. Well, have you seen about these judges? I mean, I just saw a story yesterday of a guy that, in fact, there are even certain areas where you just get probation if you rape somebody until you've raped 3 people or more. I mean, it's just insane, the different things that are coming out about the judges as well. Judges letting people off. Oh, you won't do well in prison, we're going to let you off. And so this has been going on for years. It's very interesting. I loved and was encouraged by finally a pastor. We've talked about this, like, where's the church, right, Mark? Right. And so pastor talks about with his congregation about protecting children. Listen to this. This is a very long time overdue.
Children don't come into this world confused. They come in wanting candy and toys. They want to play. They want to have fun. They want to be hugged and held. They want to run and scream and have a good time. But they don't come in wondering about their privates or about their inclinations or sexual instincts. No. It's unstable, perverted adults that are indoctrinating young children, that are confusing the least of these by planting suggestions in their mind, showing them pictures, and asking them to experiment, at least experiment. I think it is mental child abuse. I think it is psychological brainwashing. I think it ought to be a crime. I think parents ought to rise up. But we've been beaten down, you see, and it's also been held back from us. And the government is silent about it and crooked about it. And they're teaching our children things we don't want them to know. And they're exposing them too early, and they're convincing them of something that isn't even the truth. To me, that is a crime against humanity. And if you are a school teacher who is doing this, you, in my opinion, are a criminal. And if you are a school principal who's promoting this, you are a criminal. And if you're the school board who's pushing this, you're all criminals. You're aiding and abetting perversion, and you're ruining children and our society.
It was about time.
I know, that was a great sermon. Yep. It was very encouraging to hear somebody speak out, other than just like you, me, Melissa, Jay, some of us that have been speaking out and calling people out, you know what I mean, on the faith side. And so to see a pastor finally from the pulpit say those things that need to be said, it was like, praise God. Right. Yes. And so I love it. Don't ever take away my freedom, says great for pastors to stand up. I know. We've been saying, where's the church? we're the pastors. What's going on? So I love it. I know that you are short on time. I want to cover though the Benny Hinn assets. So just so people might have missed it or not known, but court requires the bank to seize assets from Benny Hinn Ministries after failure to pay a marketing company. I wonder if this has to do with, like, I've been talking with the guys from the religion business as well, a little bit here and there. And they said that a lot of the churches, the mega churches, the parking lots are empty.
Yeah.
And so you and I have talked about it as well. And so I'm wondering if Benny Hinn just short on money, people waking up.
People are waking up. Funds are going dry. That's part of the prophetic word coming to pass.
Oh, yes.
So,
That's right.
Yep. Some are burning to the ground. Some are going to go dry. Some are going to go bankrupt. So this is part of it.
That's good. That's good. And that goes back to just being, the awakening of it all. We had Ryan Tieford on, which is the ex-nephew for Paula White. And I just saw where we had a viewer who was talking in the chat about how during that video I looked, and they were talking about how they had an aunt, I think it was, that woke up, is what I read. And so the aunt woke up by watching that whole interview that I did with him last Tuesday. And so there's a lot of people who don't know. And so every little bit helps, I think, especially, I've said over and over, you and I can do the shows and talk and expose these things. But the fact of the matter is the people have to share it, and they have to go out, and we all have our own part that we have to, do in making sure that people find out what's going on and wake up to not sending Paula $1,000 at Easter so that you'll be able to be, blessed. And so she'll pray for you, because she won't pray for you until she got her $1,000 donation, which is complete insanity. Okay, Mark, final words.
That's it, guys. Just pray for America. Pray for the safety of our streets. Be careful out there, because the streets are not safe right now. It doesn't matter what anybody says, as we have shown here. So
yeah, it's crazy. All right, Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. That's so good. All right. Saw a video this morning I wanted to share with you. Two guys, one of them's talking about what he learned about the school systems. If you follow me on X, I've been talking for months about homeschooling your children. Take a look at this.
Maybe this will blow your mind a little bit more.
Blow it away. Pause.
So not one single U.S. president has sent their kids to a public school. And
that doesn't surprise me.
This might blow your mind a little bit more. Horace Mann, the guy that created this whole system, right? Homeschooled his kids. He had 3 sons. He homeschooled them. So you're 100% spot on. It's an elitist system. It was built by the elites, and they didn't even send their kids to it. Let that sink in. We all went through a system that they themselves created, and they didn't even send their kids through it. So it shows. I mean, we were viewed as like cattle, it's like, let's just create consumers. Let's create people that are going to just obey and follow orders. And I think that's why everybody's having this crisis of meaning right now, where it's like, what does this all mean? We're just consuming things. And it's like, no, that's not how God intended it to be. It's just how the system was captured.
You study a lot of history. I like that. That's how you learn things, but it is, and I try to, I'm an optimist, and I also try to be let's pull it back to equilibrium and all that. But when you see the patterns as they are right now across every level of society, I don't need to list them all off. You know what I'm talking about. We're hitting on one of them today, but if this does not change at some point and people continue to fall in the spread of the wealth gap and meaninglessness, you will have a French Revolution moment.
Big time.
People think that, that can't happen. And they were burning cities 5 years ago because they were bored for 3 months on the couch. You know what I mean? And that wouldn't be good for anybody.
We could rug the system pretty easily, actually. It's just we've all been kind of pitted against each other.
Yes.
It's all of us are paying taxes. If we all stopped paying taxes, they would have no money.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reality. This is why, in my opinion, this is why they don't teach kids about taxes. If they taught us about the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and how all of this was all created, and they said, oh yeah, actually before 1913, your ancestors, they weren't doing any of this stupid right? If they taught us that stuff in school, we would be like, oh, this is insane. We're not doing it. That's why they don't teach it, right? That's my whole thing is everybody focuses on, okay, there's all these crazy things they're teaching kids. Yes. What are the things they're not teaching us, right? They're not teaching us like what happened leading into the American Revolution, where they're not teaching us that the founding fathers were in their like 20s and 30s and like got together and were like, nope, sorry.
Ripping hemp and writing out like the greatest documents of all time.
Exactly. Like sacred geometry, and they were just tapped in. So
all right. So I thought that was so interesting when they said, well, if we quit paying taxes and they'll run out of money, they won't have any money. I thought, well, I don't know that I agree with that. They'll just print some more. So, oh my word. Okay. So I received a phone call Saturday evening. I would like to share a couple of things with you about it. So I'm going to share with you that I received a phone call from Lynn Wood. Many of you probably know who he is. He's an attorney. Producer Ron, if you'll bring up, he truthed out about our conversation. He says, I just finished a 2-hour and 18-minute phone call, our conversation with my sister in Christ, Michelle Moore. A friend put her in touch with me this afternoon by text, and we spoke for the first time by phone shortly thereafter. That's true. He called me. It was an edifying conversation. We spoke on a variety of topics, primarily about Jesus Christ. On each of the topics we discussed, Michelle and I were like-minded. That's true. Michelle hosts the Michelle Moore Show on YouTube weekdays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. She can be found at She Shed Truther. And so give her show a try. I think you will like it. That's very nice of Lynn. Lynn had a post that grabbed my attention, and that's what got me to thinking about a number of things that Mark and I were talking about on today's show. I want to share that with you as well. So let's take a look. So he shared, under the U.S. Constitution, a duly elected and sworn in president of the United States serves a fixed 4-year term and remains the president until that term expires and a successor is duly elected and sworn in. Duly elected. Now, again, he's an attorney and he knows a lot of all of this. And so it was great to see that he's posting on this. Duly elected means elected in accordance with the legal and constitutional procedures established for the office in the case of the U.S. president through the processes set out in the Constitution, federal statutes, and state laws governing presidential elections. It emphasizes that the election was conducted properly and lawfully. We know that didn't happen. Not merely that someone received the most votes and claimed victory. We know also that President Trump never conceded the election. I think that it's easy for us to kind of forget some of these details or kind of brush that off and go, but look at what's going on today. And the fact of the matter is, I want to see where the real president is. I believe that the real president and the real Melania Trump, we're not seeing them. And so just wanted to share those two things with you. Thursday, I had said, we're supposed to have Godly Granny releases on Friday. And because I was out of town and went to go see viewer Natalie before she passed away, I had said that today I would announce the rescheduling of that, and that will be this Thursday. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be fun. Eve is going to be here. We got we're taking apart a product that many of you know about that's been around for a while. Oh, just hearing the details and the truth. I love it. And I want to remind you, on Thursday, we had Dr. Sean here. He's with Jace Medical, and they offered a free or a special incentive where you could get $20 off. So he says also brought in the Jace special. So the Jace special is through Wednesday. And if you use MMS for Michelle Moore Show 20, you get $20 off of ivermectin products if you're needing ivermectin. And then don't forget too that they now offer mebendazole. And so that's available for you. I was telling you on Thursday about the Jace case, which I love, and my experience about how it kept me from having to go to the emergency room at about, 1:45 at night. It would have been past 2:00 if I would have had to go to the emergency room. I hope that you have enjoyed today's show, give you some things to think about. And we'll see you right here tomorrow. Jay is supposed to be here with ATKN, and we're going to do the 4th part of our 4-part series. I'm looking forward to that. That series with him has been great. Lots of things that we've covered. I know many of you have written me about how much you've been learning from that series, and I appreciate that. I was really excited about this series, and he'll be here tomorrow to finish up. Our new daddy he's got 3 kids now. So anyways, and so we will be having him here tomorrow to finish up that series. Really excited about it. We'll see you right here next time on The Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven. And when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry, both nationally and regionally, by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
My wife and I have always had a preparedness mindset, but having an actual antibiotic or a prescription medication, that was a void we'd never been able to fill. I was amazed that you could get the Jace case and order it and have it shipped to you. And the fact that it included so many different medications, I take that Jace case with me wherever I go. It's something that provides me comfort and peace in knowing that I have that with me in case of an emergency.
Go to jace.com. Be sure to use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive special savings on your purchase.
For Michelle's social media links, go to michellemooreshow.com.